The weight of bloodlines. The morning sun climbed higher over Thornhaven's ruins, casting long shadows across ancient stones, still slick with cultist blood. Edrick stood at the edge of the shattered altar, the sealing blade held loosely in his right hand. The weapon's silver-gold surface reflected the sunlight, but beneath that gleam, something darker pulsed, a rhythm that matched the green glow still fading from his chest. Rose approached from behind, her boots crunching on debris. "We should move soon," she said quietly. "The corruption might draw scavengers, or worse." Edrick didn't turn. His gaze remained fixed on the chasm where the lead cultist had thrown himself, where that massive presence had surged upward before retreating. "He knew my name," Edrick said. "Not my title, my bloodline. He said the Devourer remembers." "Cultists say a lot of things." Rose moved to stand beside him, her longsword sheathed, but her hand still resting on its pommel. "Most of it is madness and lies." "Is it?" Edrick finally looked at her, and Rose saw the exhaustion in his eyes. Not from the battle, but from the weight of revelation. "The fragment inside me responded to him, Rose. When he spoke about cycles and bloodlines, I felt it pulse, like it was agreeing." Alluria emerged from the ruin's western edge, her purple daggers cleaned and sheathed. "Found tracks heading north," she reported. "At least 5 cultists fled during the fight. They'll reach the weeping stones before nightfall and warn the others we're coming." "Let them," Shamaz said, joining the group. The old healer looked worn, his robe stained with blood from tending Edric's leg wound. Fear might make them careless, or desperate enough to make mistakes. Edric sheathed the sealing blade, feeling it settle against his hip like a living thing. The amulet around his neck had finally stopped its frantic pulsing, but it remained warm against his skin. "How's the leg?" Shamaz asked. "I'll manage." Edric tested his weight on it. The cultist's grip had left deep bruises and torn muscle, but Shamaz's healing had closed the worst of it. "We can ride." "You need rest," Rose insisted. "We all do. We've been awake since before dawn, rode hard through corrupted forest and fought a battle against—" She gestured at the carnage around them. "Against whatever those things were." "They were human once," Shamaz said quietly. "The corruption transforms, but it doesn't erase what came before. Those cultists chose their path, but the Devourer made them into weapons." Edric limped toward the horses, which waited nervously at the ruin's edge. The Urith Destroyers had held their ground during the battle, but even their supernatural resilience couldn't completely overcome their instinctive fear of corruption. "We rest for 1 hour," he decided. "Eat, tend wounds, check weapons. Then we ride for the weeping stones." "Edric," Rose began. 1 hour, he repeated firmly. "The cultists are already spreading word we're hunting them. If we delay too long, they'll reinforce the remaining sites or abandon them entirely. We need to strike while they're still reeling." Alluria nodded approvingly. "He's right. Speed is our advantage now. They know we have the sealing blade, but they don't know how much the fragment inside him is fighting back." Edric flinched at her words, and Rose shot Alluria a sharp glare. The Urith warrior raised her hands apologetically. "I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm stating tactical reality. If the fragment grows stronger, we need to finish this campaign before it compromises your ability to fight." "It won't," Edric said, but even he heard the uncertainty in his voice. They made camp in a clearing 50 yards from the ruins, far enough to escape the worst of the corruption's lingering presence. Shamaz distributed dried meat and hard bread from their supplies, while Alluria kept watch from a fallen pillar. Rose sat beside Edric, methodically sharpening her longsword with smooth, practiced strokes. "Tell me what you're feeling," Rose said, after several minutes of silence. Edric stared at his hands. In the sunlight, they looked normal, calloused from years of sword work, scarred from countless battles. But he could feel the fragment beneath his skin, coiled in his chest like a serpent. "It's awake now," he admitted. "Ever since I drew the sealing blade at the altar, the fragment recognized the weapon. It hungered for it." "Hungered?" "The blade was made to destroy the Devourer. But the fragment inside me is part of the Devourer." Edric's jaw tightened. "It wants the blade's power, wants to consume it, corrupt it, turn it into something else." Rose stopped sharpening. "Can it do that? I don't know." Edric met her eyes. "Elder Ashara said the blade requires Aldric's blood given willingly. But what if the fragment can twist that? What if when I try to use the blade against the Devourer, the fragment takes control instead? Then we'll stop you, Rose said simply. You can't. We'll stop you, she repeated. Shamaz, Alluria, and I. We've fought beside you for years, Edric. We know your tells, your patterns. If the fragment takes over, we'll see it, and we'll do what needs to be done. The casual certainty in her voice, the absolute conviction that she would kill him if necessary to save the kingdom, should have frightened Edric. Instead, he felt only gratitude. Thank you, he said quietly. Rose resumed sharpening her blade. Don't thank me yet. I'm still hoping it doesn't come to that. Shamaz approached, carrying a steaming cup of tea. Drink this, he ordered, handing it to Edric. It will help with the pain in your leg and clear your mind. Edric accepted the cup, inhaling the bitter herbal scent. What's in it? Willow bark for pain, ginseng for clarity, and a few other things. Shamaz settled onto the ground with a grunt. Also a mild sedative. You need sleep, even if it's only for 30 minutes. I said 1 hour of rest, not sleep. And I'm your healer, which means I outrank you when it comes to your health. Shamaz's dark eyes were firm. Drink the tea, Edric. Your body needs rest to heal properly, and your mind needs rest to resist the fragment's influence. Edric wanted to argue, but the exhaustion was catching up with him. The adrenaline from battle had faded, leaving only bone-deep weariness. He drank the tea in 3 long swallows, grimacing at the bitter taste. Good, Shamaz approved. Now lie down. Rose and Alluria will keep watch. 30 minutes, Edric insisted, already feeling the sedative's effects. Wake me in 30 minutes. Of course, Shamaz agreed, exchanging a knowing glance with Rose. Edric lay back against his pack, staring up at the sky through the corrupted tree's twisted branches. The fragment in his chest pulsed steadily, like a second heartbeat. As the sedative pulled him toward sleep, he heard whispers, not from the amulet this time, but from deeper inside himself. King's blood, old blood, Aldric's choice, Aldric's curse. The words weren't in the old tongue, they were in his own voice. Edric's eyes snapped open, but the sedative was too strong. Darkness claimed him, and with it came dreams of 3,000 years ago. He stood on a battlefield strewn with corpses. The sky above was wrong, torn and bleeding shadows that writhed like living things. Before him, 7 kings in ancient armor formed a circle around a chasm identical to the one at Thornhaven. At the center stood a man wearing a crown forged from silver and gold, his armor bearing the crowned wolf sigil. King Aldric, his ancestor. We cannot destroy it, one of the other kings said, his voice echoing strangely. The Devourer is not a creature. It is entropy given form. It existed before the world and will exist after. Then we seal it, Aldric responded, and Edric heard his own voice in his ancestor's words. We bind it with our bloodlines, 7 kingdoms, 7 anchors. The Devourer will sleep until our lines fail. And when they do, another king demanded. When our descendants forget, when the bloodlines weaken, you're not sealing the Devourer, Aldric. You're delaying it, cursing our children to face what we cannot defeat. Aldric's hand moved to his sword, not the sealing blade yet, but a weapon that would be reforged into it. Then our children will be stronger than us. They will have time to prepare, to learn, to find a way we could not. We give them a chance. That is all any father can do. The 7 kings began to chant. Their blood flowed freely, mixing in channels carved into the stone. The Devourer screamed, a sound that shattered reality itself as the binding took hold. But in that moment before the sealing completed, Edric saw the truth. Aldric hadn't divided the Devourer equally among 7 bloodlines. He had taken the largest fragment, the creature's heart, into himself, had woven it into his own blood and soul, ensuring his descendants would carry the heaviest burden. It was an act of sacrifice, and an act of unforgivable arrogance. The dream shattered. Edric woke to Rose shaking his shoulder. Easy, she said as he jerked upright, hand reaching for his sword. You were dreaming, talking in your sleep. How long? Edric's voice was hoarse. 40 minutes. I know you said 30, but you needed more. Rose helped him sit up. You kept saying heart and Aldric's choice. What did you see? Edric pressed his hand against his chest, feeling the fragment pulse beneath his palm. The truth, he said. I saw the binding. Aldric didn't just help seal the Devourer. He took its heart into himself, the largest piece. That's why my bloodline carries the strongest fragment. Shamaz appeared, his expression grave. That would explain why the other bloodlines failed first. They carried smaller fragments that could be diluted over generations. But the heart? That would remain strong, passed from parent to child, always whole. Which means when the other fragments broke free, they would be drawn to the heart, Illyria added, joining them. You're not just carrying part of the Devourer, Edrick. You're carrying the piece all the others want to reunite with. The implications settled over them like a shroud. Edrick wasn't just the key to destroying the Devourer. He was the anchor that kept the creature's scattered essence from reforming completely. If he died without using the sealing blade properly, the fragments would claim his body as a vessel. The cultists know, Edrick realized. That's why they're so confident. They're not trying to free the Devourer from its prison. They're trying to call all the fragments to me, to make me the Devourer's new body. Then we don't give them the chance, Rose said firmly. She stood, offering Edrick her hand. We hit the weeping stones hard and fast. We kill every cultist we find. And we keep moving until we've destroyed every ritual site in the kingdom. Edrick took her hand, letting her pull him to his feet. His legs still ached, but the rest and Shamaz's tea had restored some of his strength. How far to the weeping stones? 3 hours hard ride, Illyria reported. The fleeing cultists have a head start, but our Urith horses are faster. We'll arrive shortly after them while they're still in disarray. Good. Edrick checked his weapons, ensuring the sealing blade hung securely at his side. The amulet pulsed once against his chest, and deep inside, the fragment stirred in response. Let's move. They mounted their horses and rode north, leaving Thornhaven's ruins behind. The corruption in the forest seemed to watch them pass, shadows moving wrong in their peripheral vision. Twice, Illyria spotted corrupted creatures tracking them through the trees, but none attacked. They simply watched with glowing green eyes, as if waiting for something. They're reporting back, Illyria said quietly, telling the Devourer where we are. Let it watch, Edrick replied. Let it see us coming. Maybe it will finally understand that Aldric's line doesn't break. But even as he spoke those defiant words, the fragment in his chest pulsed with something that felt disturbingly like amusement. And Edrick wondered if the Devourer was watching through his own eyes, seeing through the heart it had lost 3,000 years ago. The heart that now beat in his chest, growing stronger with every passing hour.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.